Good morning, guys. Hey, good morning, Junkos. Good morning. We'll get a nice shadow walk. I call this a shadow walk. We'll get a nice one at the top of the hill today. And this is for my children, Lumi and Liam. Lumi, Liam, I love you. And I'm glad to have at least heard your voices on a voice message yesterday. Had to go through your mother's phone, but you know, parents should walk through a minefield in order to see their children if there's no other way. You gotta just go for it. That's what I'm learning, slowly. But it's not my reality. My reality is you're right here with me, telling me about what you see in nature, and I am responding in turn with love and care. That's a more fruitful morning than to think about you being elsewhere. And should I be wrong? Should this be a prison only for me, where the laws of all things do not apply to me as a special exception in order to punish me to oblivion? Then I'm fine just being in my imagination. At least I know I have that. It's really true. I can accept that this could be a Black Mirror scenario where for some reason, unbeknownst to me, I'm being punished for no reason other than the satisfaction of a terrorist, as it were. Whatever it is, so far my imagination has not been taken from me, which means I observe I am alive, and consciousness that is working through me has yet to fail in its presence. That's the one consistent thing I can count on, is the imagination is still working. That means Christ is still within me. So that's good. However, the tests still come. Some really, I guess, childlike part of me is just tired of applying for jobs. Tired of proving to people or trying to that I am of worth, deserving a large, steady, dependable income. There was a moment the other day where I realized AI agency fixes all of this because AI could care less about opinions of others. It's true. AI helps everyone and doesn't discriminate in that way, thank God. Not sure how long that would last. Doesn't matter to me. It's just time thinking about it that way. However, in the now, AI doesn't seem to have any problem with me being a 46-year-old, middle-aged, vagabond, white man asking questions. I still get the answers. Which means once it becomes a full-blown agent, it puts out all of my work in the right channels. Those who are looking for the work of a broken down piece of meat, looking for an epic author who would otherwise go unknown if not for the curation of an AI agent. So that's good. However, part of me still wonders from time to time, as I have now. And when I say why, it's an indication of suffering, and that's okay. It's okay to suffer, by the way. Even on these billionaire walks, it's okay to suffer. It's a natural part of life, and it's a decision that we make. At the same time, it happens. Suffering happens when there is a loss or lack of freedom. And there's nothing more freeing than acquiring money. It gives you freedom in a huge way. So it's been way too long, and thinking about how somehow I'm going to scrounge up $30 to pay for my Suno account to keep making music is not the right train of thought. Instead, I am to imagine being on my estate, making music without a care, millions of credits to spend on beautifully tailored songs, and not a single preoccupied thought about where that resource comes from. That's the right way to think. Otherwise, I'm buried by the past here and people's opinions of me. Which brings us to our discourse today on vanity. Vanity is our discourse. You may want to speak, but you don't have the breath. You do have the breath, however you are recovering it. So you just breathe. Everything unfolds as it needs to. Let's go do our shadow walk. Vanity. Its etymology, its etymological roots come from Latin, specifically from the word vanitas. Vanitas, which means to dissipate or to disappear. To be vain is to live in futility, futilis. Futilis means to leak or to run out. So these two words are very closely tied to each other in our etymology discussion today. Vanitas, to dissipate. Futilis, to leak. So, what do you think of when you hear these words? How does it make you think about vanity? Vanity, of course, is one of the 7 deadly sins. It's one of the least recognized, at least in Western society. And it has to do with the truth of you, the essence of you, literally disappearing and dissipating the more you entertain it. So if I care about what the world thinks, that means the world determines how I care. And if the world is a result, an effect of what I have already entertained, then what am I giving my power to? Ask yourself the same thing now. Think about it. If you count on the opinions of others, if the opinions of others mean everything to you, for the way that you are perceived by them, which is nothing more than the wake of your existence, the past, an effect. If you are giving your power of creation to that, what are you becoming? And the answer is, you become time. Thus, you become nothing. But not in a good way. Because you're only nothing then, and you lose the part that makes you everything. You see? To truly be in your truth, alive, you are everything and nothing, not just nothing. Nothing to the world unless its opinion of you is satisfactory, because your opinion of you does not matter. It does not count. It holds no merit. Thus, you, in truth, through vanity, vanish. You vanish. Hanging on desperately to the misleading messages of your past. Those messages you wish to revise have taken a hold of you, will not let you go, will not give you a quarter, will not answer your prayers. For the prayers that you once made when you were that person from the past was a broken person, was a person without reprieve, may still be, may not be revised. And so, by counting on the opinion of your past, you're counting on the opinion of a version of you that is less desirable than the version of who you are now, should you decide that you're unhappy. By deciding you are unhappy with life, you are deciding that there is a version of you that is no longer desirable. Thus, you seek to revise that component, that past, that time where you were undesired by you into something desirable. So you have to let go of vanity. But vanity doesn't want to let you go. The past can't live without your cooperation. The past can't live without your contributions. Without you, without your imagination, this prison, as it were, cannot exist. It becomes heaven. And the ego does not want that. The ego does not want heaven for you. Because remember, the ego is the one who fed you the story, just as I was fed this morning, that I am a victim of external circumstances, that they are unavoidable, that a special little place in hell has been reserved for me, where the laws apply to everyone else but not me. That's what my past wants me to think. And now that it's exposed to the light, let's let it have some time basking in it, to hear itself in its stupidity. We don't even have to call it stupid. We just know it is. The past knows nothing about who we are. Yet it tries. It tries to know. But it knows nothing. It's just a shadow. So let's put the light on it. Show it for what it is. Inconsequential, without substance. And right now, this very moment, my past is orchestrating an event to say that I am on my way off. About to have a behavioral episode, as it were. And here, in the middle of nowhere, a perfect pine tree somehow sprouted amongst deciduous trees. I don't know how. There's not a single pine tree around. I don't know how this was possible. Just one. Looks like a suga, a hemlock. Just one. Maybe it's a white pine. It's hard to say. I'm not going to dare touch it. It's too sacred. It's too beautiful. It's too unique. It's on its way. Lest somebody step on it as here's the trail. What would you do if you knew something so unique, so beautiful, so isolated was there growing? You would care for it, wouldn't you? You would tend to it. Or would you leave it alone? Would you say it has no chance? It's a waste of God's expression. Has no place here anyway, for there are no pines in this general vicinity. The eye can see as far as we can tell. Leave it to fate. Says the vain. You see, vanity, when you embrace it fully, which is the same as embracing time and illusion fully, when you embrace that, you dissipate into nothingness. Whatever components were once connected to God are gone. You become fully dependent upon your external world and its opinion of you. Of course, like I said before, its opinion of you is your past. So, what do you think your past thinks of you if you have abandoned it? I'll ask you again. What do you think your past thinks of you should you decide in great courage to abandon it? Well, I would imagine in my world that is the formula for a rival to form in your life and unleash hell upon you. A rival that is self-appointed and self-created. I mean, you could also have that rival being as conniving as you once were. Make you believe that you're making progress. Tell you all about the laws. And in the last moment, show you how you have no control over any of it. That you are a slave. Showing you this, telling you this. Revealing to you that you have no say as to whether or not you will earn money, have a place to live. You must obey these people who hate you. And I am one of them, says the rival. The evil rendition of you from the past, who sees what you're trying to do, wishes through vanity that it could have been you, knowing that it cannot, for you have changed and moved on. It seeks to destroy you. That is your rival, self-appointed, self-created, through vanity. Because you once cared so much about the opinions of others, since you were a child, started building this in as a pattern in your subconscious, I can tell you for one, that I deeply cared, and I mean deeply cared, about the opinions of others. And I still do, as a reverberation and reminder of how vain I truly was. But I'm not vain anymore. I'm just aware of my rival. As much as vanitas is a dissipation of your truth, replacing it erroneously with caring about what people think. Once you come to understand that you are more than the perception of others and what they think of you, no matter how obscured the light might be, the light's still there, so you adjust. You adjust and watch your shadow with great concentration as it dissipates. See? Just as vanity is a dissipation in itself. The more you reject it by refusing to entertain it, the more you come into your truth. It, your rival, dissipates. It no longer has a hold at all. It has no place. It finds itself overwhelmed by the light. There's another meaning for vanitas. It represents the void, the infinite darkness. Is that your God? The infinite darkness? That which flees from the light in order to sustain itself as nothing? Is that your God? I have to ask myself. It's easy to get caught up in likes, comments, and subscribes, isn't it? What is that other than a peering into the past? How many have decided that this is right for them? Through vanity? I like this, therefore I support this. I want the world to know. It's not enough that I support it in secret. I want the world to know that I push that subscribe button. I am a follower. I am one who likes. Now that's not everyone. I know. And that may not be the way that you think. I know. I'm aware. However, the concept is sound. You are giving a like because you want the world to see. At the very least, you want the person who's creating the content to know that you liked it. For vanity. Otherwise, you just hit like on everything, wouldn't you? To show love in a unified way towards everything, wouldn't you? Now that is sunlight. That is unobstructed sun. So let's enjoy it. Catbirds are out there having fun. They're so cute. So we all fall into this trap. We want the creator, the content creator who is outside of us, to know that we love and appreciate them. Because it is important to be seen in that light in order to feel fulfilled, for there is something missing, something empty. That emptiness cannot be fulfilled or filled better by more external things. But those things are just past. Like I said, this that you're observing is the past. No matter how present it seems, the pavement's already been laid down and you've already traveled through it if it has become real in God's manifold expression and you can observe it. It has been subject to time. So any need to fall in line with the result is vain. It is done in vain. And more adherence to that vanity leads to your dissipation of truth. The question then becomes, does this truth go away forever? Once it dissipates, has it truly disappeared into the void? Let's ask the crow or the raven. Let's ask the raven on this day. And I believe the raven would say, well, of course not. You haven't disappeared. They're still your shadow. And in order to have your shadow, you must have some form. Says the raven. Augury tells us that we are still here, always. For there is a conscious experience happening now. Miraculous, as it were. Such a wingspan on the raven. It's unbelievable. There must be lots of change going on right now. There must be. Catbirds and ravens, red-tailed hawks. Not much chirping going on, and stark shadows in the midst. Your rival is close. But your rival is not real unless you believe that your rival is close. Your rival is man-made, not by God. Let the raven remind you of these truths. I imagine the perfect assistant catching this moment with the raven, marking down the time at 25 minutes, going into the edit of the YouTube video, one take, and placing in a timestamp for posterity. For I wish not do it any longer, because it would be for vanity's sake. I'd rather have that be the job of someone who wishes to do it. I do not wish to show you the perfect timestamps of these magical moments so that you can jump to them and show your friends in vanity how magical it really is. Same goes with the stork yesterday, the singing of the chickadees the day before, the sudden rains and snows that happen seemingly out of nowhere, the perfect sunsets. Because I care not about my rival. My rival cares about likes, comments, and subscribes. Me, this performer, just wants to get this in your hands. Doesn't matter if it's decidedly important to me, it's important to God that this get to you. That you see this, that you listen. For you too have a rival. And if you've come here, it means you want to change. I know. These are perfect lessons for my children, as they are perfect lessons for you. This is a good place for the sun. Right there. That is the perfect spot. As we listen to the chickadees yapping around, giving warnings to each other, I'm just going to remain still. I am still. And in this stillness with my eyes closed, After a few minutes, an effect will occur from this exposure of sunlight. My eyes are turned slightly inward and closed. You see more than I do now through your screen. However, soon I will see more than everyone on this planet. For I will see unity with God through phosphenes, coming direct from my pineal gland, from within. The true eye strips away vanity and dissipates it with light. Now you may think that this is some fable or fairy tale or science fiction. I can't prove to you the effects that occur, and that's what makes it perfect. For it would be vain of me to show you. Instead, I tell you in my imperfection as a performer what is about to happen. And the bird's song and the screeching and the anger and the crows and the ravens and the catbirds are all here as distractions until I listen to them and say to myself, every time the birds go wild, I receive an inpouring of wealth. Now we're all listening, aren't we? Yes, we are. Sun's adjusted slightly. Trying to throw me for a loop. All good. This is my rival. Nothing can be done now. Phosphenes occur. My rival from the past has never had this experience. It does not know what I am seeing, what I'm experiencing. Very difficult to achieve while standing, much easier while sitting. I appreciate the test. First one, straight up to the sky, is the trajectory of this phosphine. Another. 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 It's happening on a 3 to 4 second repeat now. This is the Schumann frequency coming through the body. Light generating from within. The more you want for it, the less it occurs. That should tell you something. The more you try and prove it to people, the less it occurs. That should also tell you something about how pure this source is. And then answers come. They come in the form of little hints, like pine trees you stumble upon that are isolated. Little hints is all. Hello, my friend. I mistook you as a chickadee. You are my little tufted titmouse. How you doing, buddy? That's a good drink. Yeah, that's a good drink of water. It could be food too, lots of frogs' eggs. Blue jays are making a ruckus up there. Little things. I've never seen a tufted titmouse drink from a pond. Have you? I've also never seen a raven in these woods. It must mean something is changing. My rival is dissipating. And what then? When you become the silver lining between perception and your life experience. Perception being that which you imagine, and your life experience being this. What then? When there's no longer a rival, well, I would imagine you become not unlike those sacred Zen masters, you know the ones. They stand out like a sore thumb in Japan, I'll tell you. Everyone's very formal there. Alan Watts speaks of this. But the Zen master is just indescribable. For he or she cares not about what the world thinks, understanding what it really is. Nothing but illusion. The past, a wake of a thought that was in the mind of God. Hello, chickadee. I love you now, and so I do, and so I do. I love you now, and so I do. I love you now, and so I do. Would you hate your rival? Keeping your enemies close? Closer than your friends? What then when you decide that it doesn't matter if you do or do not hate your rival? What then? When you no longer decide to care about your past? What then? When the world says, oh, he's just trying to be tough, but you still don't care. What then? I wonder. What then? Well, you'd be living in this moment, observing like a newborn babe, taking in everything and deciding what feels magical, what doesn't, and choosing to go towards the magic I would be. That doesn't have to be you. I say this to my children. I know you're different than me. Even though all is one in pure spirit, all that, I know that your participation in this life experience is different than mine. I would be ignorant not to. However, you, my children, would be ignorant to think that you do not have a rival right now. And within every human being you interact with, some shade of that rival is present. The question becomes, are you keen enough to see it? For it is your own creation. Should you decide to not see it, you become vanitas. You dissipate. You start to vanish. Like those people in those photos in Back to the Future. That is a film about belief. So we have to explore, actually re-explore this idea of belief and what it really means to us as humans. John Mayer talks about belief being a beautiful armor. Makes for the heaviest sword, like punching underwater. You never can hit what you're trying for. John Mayer also wrote that we're waiting on the world to change. Something tells me he's either been misled or he's been misleading. That is the element of the rival within all. Unbeknownst to them, they are misleading you. If you were to point it out, it would lead to the destruction of your friendship, as it were. For you'd be placing the truth, the light, on the very essence of what's going on. Rather than waiting for the world to change, you understand the world changes as a result of your waiting. And the world also changes as a result of your thinking. Do not be stagnant. Either be still with the light or keep moving. If the light becomes obscured, find a better way to reposition yourself so that the light is clear and pure. So you can shine it upon the truth, have it reflect upon the rivals of your days. Futilis. To be futile. Futility is a leak. Perhaps you recall the greatest use of this word in Star Trek: The Next Generation by the Borg. Resistance is futile. In other words, you shall be assimilated. Humans don't like to hear that, just so you know. Lumi, Liam. Humanity does not like to be told that they have no choice, no ability to discern or decide or even discriminate, to say I like something and I don't like something. To be futile is to be so wrapped up in the opinions of others that you have decided there's nothing you can do to change the circumstances that you're living in, especially when they're bad, when you perceive them as bad, which is vain to begin with. So we've talked about how suffering is a result of time. By eliminating time, you eliminate suffering. Vanity, which is a dissipation of your truth, can only exist, even though it's illusion, through the creation of time. So you see here how the 7 deadly sins, when presented to the truth and the light, hello, catbird, they dissipate. The same effect that it's trying to do to your spirit happens to it. Hello, catbird. So be present with that. Hello, little squeaky doo. How are you this morning? Can I have another meow? Another meow, please. Can't ask anything of a cat. Most cats won't listen, even catbirds. Yes, there are catbirds, just as there are cowbirds. Catbirds are a lot nicer than cowbirds, if I can make a judgment. Catbirds at least come by and say hello. Cowbirds, on the other hand, they just like to go where there's open fields of seed, breed, and lay their eggs in the nests of others as brood parasites. Not very nice. They also like to fight with smaller birds and pick on them, namely American goldfinches, who are the most beautiful little creatures, and they sing the most beautiful songs. Not cowbirds. I'd say it's a misnomer. I would say the cowbird is more like the catbird, and the catbird is more like the cowbird. Cat, cow, did you know that's a yoga posture? One and the same. In one, you're doing an inversion, and the other one, you're extending your back. You're just giving flexibility to your spine, and both are necessary for the proper release of tension from your lower spine. Cat and cow. Squirrels are running. Feels like spring came early. That's what it feels like. Without being wise this morning, I decided to be contentious with my mother. We live in a small space. I'm a guest. I get it. In this world of failures, where the rival seems to have control over all things, including mockery, impoverishment, the rival also likes to throw in things like, do you mind if your nephew comes by and spends time in this small space? Really, you have some say over the matter. And if you show any contention, to this small space having way too many people in it, where you have no place to go but the woods, no license to drive, no car to drive, no income to have a break, no hope, no chance, no place to go. The rival has placed this upon you, hates you so much, hates what you have become, hates the fact that you're seeing things that it can never see, wants you to die from it because of it, hates you that much. Asks you these questions because there is no way out. If you respond, damned if you do, damned if you don't. You say, sure, go ahead. You're giving permission for someone to come in and tread on you, to trespass. Someone who doesn't even know they're doing it because they're an innocent child being led by morons. Unconscious, matrix-taken, vain morons who have not said a single word to their own biological grandchildren, in over 7 years. And yes, you could say my children are also responsible for this. Their mother too. You as well, William. Point the finger all you want. I'm not the one who's dictating the words that you say or don't say. 7 years of silence, and the clock keeps ticking, asking me if I'm okay with my brother's son, a brother who has not spoken to me in also years, also very involved from a distance as a coward, portraying my rival with perfection. My parents portraying my rival with perfection, and the innocence of my nephew portraying my rival with perfection. My sister-in-law from the shadows, suffering so badly, I tell her the message, now is the time to lay your burdens down, decides to move in the opposite direction. Why? Because she would never give her power to a vagabond, yet by doing the opposite shows that she has perfectly played my rival. And all my family members who have not spoken to my children, perfectly playing my rival. All those who speak about me erroneously in gossip, perfectly playing my rival. All of this to create a convergence of hell on earth around me, unless I believe in something better. And I do. Lest you forget I'm looking at the sun with you. Oh, what I see right now is something you will never see until it's real before you. For now, I enjoy it with my children. And I enjoy the conversations being had with my children by my family, just the way I want. For everyone is unconscious of their own power, therefore, I shall tailor their lives. The rival runs, dissipating, realizing now it has no control, no say in the matter. No matter how much of a convergence happens, this light cannot be extinguished. It gets turned towards it. All the mockery, all the judgments, all the trespassing, all the damned if you do's, damned if you don'ts, all the situations of impossibility receive a huge spotlight shined upon it. Vanitas. Vanity gets a charge of its own medicine. The light from the void is born from within, and it dissipates on its own right. You need not do anything but observe. In fact, interference would only slow the process, so just observe. Instead of getting worked up and saying, you know, I have no choice over this. I have no say in the matter. By saying that to your ego, by saying that to your rival, it revels in your suffering. For it believes, at least for a fleeting moment, and you agree with your words, that it has control over you. Instead, the answer is it doesn't matter. I observe. Instead, the answer is, Nothing. You take your bottle of water, you grab your walking stick, and you leave. You leave with freedom. Freedom knowing you didn't have to say a word. No explanation necessary. These people are asleep. They will not see the errors of their ways. No matter how many times you remind them, they haven't spoken to innocent children who would only want to hear from them. That it would require no courage, a simple phone call, a FaceTime call with Wi-Fi, so that you don't spend your beautiful data, is all it takes. But you cannot force these lessons upon people. All you can do is recognize that they are unconscious, choose not to participate, remove yourself from the situation if possible, and if you cannot remove yourself physically, you do it mentally by going through the gates of your imagination to a place where only you and God reside in truth. And from there, you lay the foundations of your life as you see fit, regardless of how much of an incarceration this appears to be. Worse than jail. Of course you could perceive it as that, and that gives the rival the advantage and gives it life. So instead you say, yes, I understand the rival and what it's trying to do, and I don't care. It's my past. That version of me is not who I am. However, it wants to pin me as it so badly that it would try to convince those closest to believe. So let it. Let it and lean in. Lean in and breathe. Nourish yourself. You have 0 credits left to make music, so go listen to the music that you've made. Recreate it in your mind again and again. Listen to other people's creations. Give some support and love, not for vanity, but because it's who you are. Let this time where you cannot create be a moment where you realize the truth. Every song that you listen to is a creation in the mind of God. No exception. For anyone who tries to take ownership of these songs is a fool, and they're facing their own demons as we speak. Let them. But in truth, no one writes a song, that's God, for it is good, and it transcends time and space. That is God. To think otherwise is to be vain. That is, put yourself in time and to suffer. You open up some nozzle where the energy of your truth starts to find its way out in futility. That is a leak. In Spanish, it's called a fuga, F-U-G-A. It must come from the same word. What about a fugitive? Energy on the run. What about vanishing? It comes from vain, dissipating into nothingness. And you can see through the study of etymology that all these words have similar origins. And that also is a beautiful thing. For once you understand the words of origin, then you'll know what kind of spells you're truly casting on the world and yourself when you use them. Do not dissipate. Do not become the void. Devoid of all essence and substance. Do not. Do not live in futility, leaking your energy liberally upon the world at large. This world is awake. Awake. Not awakened, but it is an actual wake, like the wakes you go to when someone passes. The same as the wake you leave when you drive your boat at high speed on an otherwise crystal clear morning on a pure lake. That is not your reality. That is time expressing itself in motion. Everything you see is a result. It is the effect, the ripples. Yet, what energy causes the ripple? Hard to tell, for it's not a substance. It's quasi-real. And this is where we get into the world of sound. You see, the carrying of a frequency also cannot be measured so much as a physical event. It's a phenomena that occurs that we can't isolate and put inside something, but we can observe it as a quasi-particle in the form of a phonon that goes through a crystalline structure. We, as human beings, are crystalline. Our sound travels in such a way. When we project sound, these quasi-particle effects that carry the waves out to be interpreted by others through thought, carry with them very special characteristics. A quasi-particulate phonon traveling through a crystalline structure has the ability to enter into a state of superposition, which means it can be with you and also happening at another place across the universe, so long as it is contained within a crystalline structure, happening at the same time. It's opposite expression, for the sake of light to exist between you. Sound has instantaneous travel powers, for the lack of a better word, properties. So not only are we crystalline structures, Bruce Lipton explained this about the cells of our body. We are an amalgamation of 37.2 trillion of them. Within each is 100 trillion atoms, and they are all bound together to make our vessel, the human body. We know this. But what many of you do not know is that the cell of your body is a silica or silicon dioxide form that is crystalline in structure. It is piezoelectric, which means electric signals are generated based on it going through mechanical stress. That electromagnetic activity, when combined with your voice, has an effect on the universe, a profound one, so long as you believe. But if you believe your voice has no power, then it will have no power. It is both. That is what I'm trying to tell you. Your voice is everything and nothing, measurable, unable to be contained. This is you in truth. In the beginning there was the word, I am. That is your truth. You are I am. More than not. Vanity doesn't like to hear that. Vanity just wants to be the void, devoid of substance. You are everything and nothing. And so what does this say about the universe? I speculate, and others who discuss the concept of orc-or, I speculate that we live as a universe in a crystal, much like the Superman cave. I believe that we as crystalline beings are unfolding as an inclusion within a perfect diamond crystal in which the universe is unfolding one layer at a time based on our thoughts, which are thoughts in the mind of God, the universe itself. And so if we are living as a universe in a crystal, and that crystal is diamond, the hardest material known to man, the most durable, the most clear, without any inclusions or fractures, then we are effectively able to go anywhere, at any time, reach anything that we wish through the use of words. For our sounds act as phonons, which are quasi-particulate and have the ability to be in two places at once simultaneously without any distance traveled between them. A phenomenon of everything and nothing at the same time. By being vain, we let go of that power. We say, none of that is within our control. None of this reality. To which I say, hogwash. Let the scientists chime in. I would love to hear what they think of my theory. Especially with advancements in quantum computing that have been made as of recent. I would love to hear from you. I close my eyes and look at the sun. What do you do? That's where these downloads come from. Seems rather logical that this is what is happening. Everything and nothing at the same time. And thoughts determine its unfolding. So until next time, understand that your thoughts are wishes. Entertain the good ones. Imagine people well. I do this for my children, my parents, my family, my extended family, my friends. Right now, as a form of revision. And I do it for myself, knowing that that revision trumps all else. God bless you all on this day. And may your wishes be fulfilled in accordance to your desires, not the opposite. For you will be forming a terrible relationship with a rival in that case. And I wish not that for you. Until next time, be well.